What's going on, everybody? This is CaseStudyQB, and we are the political junkies. Yeah, I came in hard because my guys is talking in the back, and I can hear y'all talking. I hear y'all talking. Much love to y'all. You know, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and that's what this show is about. My peoples, if you listen to us right now, you listen to the political junkies, that means you are a political junkie also. So welcome to the team. We about to get our shirts. One of these days, we all going to have political junkie shirts. So anyway, let me go to my peoples. Carlito, Gabe, John, Bendone, Felipe, Junkie Gang. That's right, Alan. Alan Amberster is in
that's the shirt right there. We're gonna send Alan one.
Yo, we're gonna send you a shirt when we get it done. Junkie Gang. I love that. All right, so Carlito, how you doing, my man?
You're doing good, man. I'm gonna just wear PJ. I'm gonna come showing in PJs in my pajamas, because I'll be the PJs.
Nice. So we're gonna talk about Georgia. My man Carlito's in Georgia, and they doing some reckless stuff over there, trying to prevent y'all from voting. You know, people that look like Carlito with his skin color, they trying to stop him from voting. So we're gonna talk about that shortly. Gabe, what's going on, my man?
I take a big L for missing the podcast last week. Super L.
Everybody missed you, man.
Where were you, Gabe?
I was tempting fate. I was at Disney. It was very organized, very good. Everybody had masks, everybody had social distance, everything outside, hand sanitizer out of everything. And but yeah, it was 10 o'clock and I was like, oh shit, there was a podcast today.
Yeah.
Been doing it, man.
That was a fail.
It's
so
all
I'm gonna
good.
send a nice super chat to the crew today to make up.
Nice. John, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. It's Monday.
Monday.
Daylight saving is back.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. We lost an hour though. All right.
I'm good, man. I love sunlight.
They could keep the hour.
Yeah.
Nice. Bendone, my man Bendone's managing the Twitch. What's going on, B?
Bleed blue, go Yukon women.
All right. Yeah, they always winning. I love it. Felipe, my man, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm chilling.
Felipe's
And
back.
Disney is taking care of his people there. It's pretty well handled. Just to back you up a little bit.
I don't trust anything from Florida or Texas.
All right.
As
So
should be.
You're gonna say I don't try anything from Felipe, so
That was the truth.
all right. So
Shout out
let's
to
get this.
Felipe's new house that he bought.
Yeah, I know. He's in the condo. He's in the high rise.
He's living it up. He got rid of the old bedroom. So
Loving it.
respect.
All right, we gonna get the show started. So the first things first, I'm gonna give you guys the lay down, and this is some of the discussions that's gonna be coming up. So I call it the no cancel zone or hashtag no cancel zone because I feel like, you know, let me go back to my guys, because I just want to have this discussion real quick. I feel like the left, right? We can have disagreements, but we don't have to cancel each other. We don't have to talk, negative about each other. We don't have to say that the person is getting paid from NATO. You know, I know Jimmy Dore says that about Anna Kasparian. And then what's the opposite? People say Jimmy Dore's on the right. You know, they say Nico's on the right. I've gotten tweets from my promo video of people saying, wow, you calling Nico a left leader or whatever. Yo, we all have disagreements. Even on this panel right now, we have huge disagreements, but we can still come together and work together so that we could push progressive policy. So with that said, our no cancel zone discussions where we don't cancel each other. Should Biden put his name on the stimulus checks? Are progressives moving Biden left? That's going to be controversial. Where we each stand on third parties versus taking over the Democratic Party, or should you do both? So that's going to be coming up soon. And one thing that I like to show at the beginning, if we have any memes, I got 2 memes today. And this is a meme of a rich guy. He says, introduce them to identity politics. Because in the back, they have the rabble rousers that have Occupy Wall Street, Stop Corporate Greed. The people are protesting. And then here's a rich person. You could say he's like part of the Illuminati. He's like, yeah, let's get the mainstream media to talk about identity politics, right? Anybody got anything to say about this one?
I got something to say. Gabe looks like he only took a little L. He only sent $5. Oh, it was a bigger L than that,
money, bro.
Yeah, man, you got Disney money. You better, little more
money.
man.
Disney money.
Davis, that guy right there making the phone call.
That's right.
I'm gonna save Gabe and move on to the next meme real quick.
Actually, I do have something to say about
okay,
it.
go ahead.
Because every time they talk about identity politics, they always talk about the left. But the right uses identity politics from like the beginning of politics was invented, man. Every time you say anything about you say a Christian person, they're using identity politics.
Christmas. You canceling Christmas.
Canceling Christmas
or even law enforcement. If you're talking about that one cop, you hate law enforcement. They are professionals at identity politics in a negative way.
Yeah. But now
I mean, they're always lobbying for people that who is the working class? Talk about white people.
And they're very good at framing the opposition. So whenever you say something like, "Hey, we should provide healthcare as a right," they go, "Socialists, communists, take over. They're gonna take your children and they're gonna make them gay and transgender." Yeah. It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
And so this is my question. Cuban friends go and vote for Trump.
This is my question. Since we're on this topic, should progressives use the evil dark art of identity politics? So, for example, we have Nara Tanden. Well, she's not progressive. I think a better example would be Holland. Debbie Holland, who everyone pretty much says she's a progressive. But after Nara Tanden was taken down from Joe Manchin, I heard a lot in the mainstream media. They're like, "Oh, it's because she's a woman and because she's a woman of color." So then by the time it came over for Debbie Holland, which she just got nominated officially today, like they pretty much scared off a lot of probably the Joe Manchins who would have not have voted for Debbie Holland. Now he did vote. So was it good that happened? What you guys think?
They have to. The left need to try something, right? Because obviously trying to say like, "Oh, we're going to be the nice ones and we're not going to do that." Like it's politics, man. Like politics, you just got to get like at one point you got to say, "Okay, we try everything we try and we just got to play." We can't continue that whole like, "Well, if they go one way, we're just going to go do it this way," because they keep punching them in the mouth and we just keep taking it. So
you don't have to be like evil about it. You don't have to be evil about it. You just got to be strong with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When they're talking about the left, the way they do, we could talk about the right using, the truth. We don't have to lie about socialism. We just tell them like it is. Stop tiptoeing around the edges and just call them what they are and what they're doing. And instead of talking about my colleague and my friend over here or whatever.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right, I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. And I see Alan asked if we're going to talk about the Biden border crisis. I didn't have that queued up today, but if we have time at the end, remind us and we might touch on that. Or I don't know if anybody wants to say something on the Biden border crisis real quick.
You said BBC. I thought you were talking about something like the Royal King.
I thought the broadcast, the Britain broadcast channel. No, he's talking about the Biden border crisis. So anybody got anything to say about that right now? I know that there's about 4,000 children that are being contained and they don't have any parents with them. So they're single, they're by themselves. And that's becoming a hot topic amongst progressives or pushing the Biden administration to put in better conditions.
I think we should make that an overtime topic.
Okay.
So I guess, because I don't know how it's all of a sudden Biden's border crisis.
All right,
that's what I mean. We should talk about
he has lax new policies allowing everyone to come in.
It's going to be an interesting topic.
Okay, let's do that. So let me move on and I'll show the next meme real quick and then we'll get right into it. So this is a quick meme. Said, back in my day, we weren't so easily offended by everything. And then at the bottom it says, back in your day, you'll lose your minds if a black person used the same drinking fountain as you. Facts. All right, so let's go on to Go ahead, Carlito. Oh, he see. What did you say? What did you say that you put?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. All right.
I'm on some fire tonight.
Keep it moving, baby. Keep it moving. All right, so we're gonna go to the first trivia real quick. Name the congresswoman under this mask, right? And I'm just gonna put it out there because I really want the audience to be involved. So we're gonna come back to it and see if the audience can get it. If you put the name out there, the first person who does put out the right name, you're gonna win this trivia question. And we're gonna go to my man Carlito. in Carlitos Rapid Fire.
Okay, good, because I don't know who that is.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna explain why I put her there when we're done. But go ahead, my man.
The first story. Yeah. Drug lobby asks Biden to punish foreign countries for pushing for low-cost vaccines. Big Pharma is fighting for tight control over COVID-19 vaccine production, limiting availability worldwide while reaping billions, by Li Fang at The Intercept. So pretty much they're pushing WTO. They want their drugs to be their patents enforced, no matter if it's a pandemic, even though some countries want to be relaxed. They don't want the companies that are big pharma organizations, big lobbyists in the millions of dollars. They do not want basically to lose any money. They're making like $32 billion just last year for these drugs. So, you know, it's crazy. What you think?
It's disgusting. Like every swear word in here. How are they going to prioritize their chump change from smaller countries when these people are dying?
Yeah,
like these people don't know better. I'm from Colombia, and they're taking COVID very seriously. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of funny. Someone my family knew, their daughter just threw a party, or she attended a party. Everyone in the entire city retweeted her at the party and just roasted her. This was right at the beginning of COVID. It like they just flamed her on the internet for days. But like right now, they're taking it very seriously, and it's not fair that they would just be limited because of money. Like, oh yeah, just die off and then just use our vaccine.
Leave it to America to put their stuff over greed, to always be greed about everything.
Yeah. You know, the sad part is China has they've given away, like, I believe 500 million vaccines to various countries around the world. So for two reasons, they're getting a one-up on us diplomatically, because now they're building those connections with those countries, and we've lost ground for 4 years, you know, with under Trump, of course. So this would be a great opportunity, since Biden has ordered 100 million vaccines from a big pharma company that they're still haven't finished their vaccine yet, but when they're done, they're obligated to come up with 100 million. They want to just put it in a stockpile when we could spread it around the world and gain some of that goodwill that China's building up. And then number two is you need people to be vaccinated anyway, so that if the vaccines do work, it's going to prevent more strains from developing, and it's just going to help us both ways. So it's just like how we should have single payer healthcare and give it to illegal immigrants, or I would say, I hate that word, illegal immigrants.
Undocumented.
There you go. Thank you so much. Undocumented people, and Republicans will say, oh, Bernie Sanders just want to give undocumented money or healthcare. No, if they get a disease, they're going to be spreading it. No, disease don't care if you're documented or undocumented. So anyway, we spent a lot of time on this.
I mean, we need to do is one thing. I'm about to go progressive Republican here. I think that, you know, if depending how the drug was developed, if the drug was developed with public funds, then in that case, you know, I think that the government should have more control over it. If it was developed using their R&D money, then I think for a certain period of time, whatever the patent protection is, that's where the market can decide. Because if there's not just one vaccine. If there's only one vaccine and it's a monopoly and something like that, in that case, you have to see what you can do. But in this case, you know, if one company says, you know what, I'm going to charge $500 for my vaccine, then Johnson & Johnson says, we're going to charge $50, you know, in that case, it's all going to be, you know, it's going to work out. And if they take care of Americans first, I'm not opposed to that either.
Well,
I want to get my vaccine as much as anybody, before anybody. And then once that's done, if you say we're not going to sell any vaccines to Colombia or to not Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico's America, but any other country. And then at the same time, once you vaccinate everybody here, now you've capped your market. So you have to then sell to other people, or else that you've lost the value there. So they're going to then open up to everybody. So I think, you know, because there's so many vaccines available, there's the Sputnik vaccine, there's a bunch. Like, I think that in that case, the market is going to play out, and we're going to see there. So
Carlito,
I think this is
before you jump in,
about
real quick, I just want to say real quick that at the United States government is giving the money to all these pharmaceutical companies ahead of time. So we are responsible for that. So I just want to say that real quick. Go ahead.
We're pre-purchasing. That's different than funding the R&D.
They're
doing Medicare for all. They're pre-purchasing at a certain rate, you know, and they're getting guaranteed doses. So I think that's fine.
Go ahead,
well, this is what happens pretty much with I don't know, maybe like 90% of all drugs. I don't know if every single one of these drugs that were created for the COVID was funded by research, paid by government, our government, or any other government, but it's without a doubt, most of the drugs that are created in the United States, they have some kind of funding from the government, and they always still get patent protections, and they always, it's like, you know, socialism as far as giving them the money for their research, but then capitalism when it's time for them to get paid. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of the research for these vaccines was part of the government, especially since some of the research that they use was based on previous research from other viruses that they had before in the past. And that's what helped accelerate the creation of this vaccine faster than in other years. So definitely, if we do a little research, I'm pretty sure that we can find out that government money was involved with these. But on the other side, they do have a program called COVAX, which is a private-public partnership that is used in order to give vaccines to underdeveloped countries. So the U.S. is giving $4 billion in funds towards this. Unfortunately, it's not enough for the the amount of vaccines that we need, but they are doing something. You know, the problem is that like this article says, 16% of the world's population is this wealthy countries, but they have half of the COVID vaccine contracts. But then some of the same estimates project that low-income countries such as Mali, South Sudan, and Zimbabwe may not achieve significant levels of vaccination until early 2024. That means you're going to have more strains growing in those countries that are going to get out and come back and bite us in our own home. So, it helps us to help them.
What they need to do is punish all these companies for being so greedy. And, it's like the U.S. has no problem going into these countries sometimes and taking their resources and stuff like that.
And doing coup d'etats and stuff like that. I hear you, but that's Bernie would have did that, and that's exactly why they couldn't have Bernie. But go ahead, Carl.
This whole progressive Republican thing. There's no.
All right, next slow fire topic because they ain't rapid.
I know, right?
Texas Rangers stop using hypnosis after Dallas Morning News investigation reveals dubious science. Last year, the news revealed Texas officers continue to turn to hypnosis to investigate crimes, sending dozens of men and women to prison and some to their deaths, by Lauren McGaughey at the Dallas Morning News.
I want to jump in on this because we know that hypnosis is a powerful tool because you're able to plant false memories into people. So you could put somebody under, and if you have somebody who really knows what they're doing, they could have you believing that you truly, killed a person or robbed the bank or did whatever. So by the time you come to, then you have to go on the trial. They're gonna get you. So it's like something like hypnosis is in the power of the wrong people is something that could be really dangerous and should not be used at all for criminal justice and for sentencing and things like that. So,
well, Gabe, this is exactly what some people are claiming. Unfortunately, there was a case that was going to the Supreme Court, but they declined to take it up. So they're leaving the decision on whether to allow hypnosis up to each state. Now, the Texas Rangers are the most prolific, but they're not the only law enforcement agency to use it. It's all of Texas, pretty much.
Yes, if you allow hypnosis, where do you draw the line? Where you're allowed to get people high and then ask them questions, or to get them and put them under some kind of sedative? There's like so many things that it's a real slippery slope there, and there's a reason, for example, that even lie detector polygraphs are not that admissible because there's so many ways that they could be wrong. So it's saying hypnosis exponentially more than even the polygraph.
All right. Next story. Georgia voting rights activists pressure big corporations to oppose GOP-backed ballot restrictions, by Hannah Mayao at CNBC. So, trying to convince racist Republicans is useless. Therefore, voting rights groups that helped Georgia have a unprecedented turnout last cycle, like Black Voters Matter, are urging major Georgia-based corporations to speak out publicly against the proposed voting restrictions and to stop donating money to the Republican legislators sponsoring the bills. Now, the activist work seems to be seeing some results. Business boosters have come out against certain provisions in the proposed voter restrictions since advocates started their pressure campaign. They're not straight up saying like, get rid of these laws, but at least they're coming out against some of the worst parts of it. For example, Dave Williams, SVP of Public Policy of the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, said in a statement, repealing no excuse absentee voting does little to make the process more secure and does so at great risk to participation. So at least they're getting companies to speak up publicly, make out press briefings, press releases, decrying some of these tactics. So again, it's this organization trying to save Georgia.
Yeah, it's just funny how the Republicans, like the minute they go in and lose Georgia, they want to change all these laws and regulations. It's the same thing with Kentucky, right? Mitch McConnell is trying to plan his replacement. All of a sudden, they want to make sure that it's not the governor who replaces it. They want to make sure it's a government-led, GOP-led decision. So it's interesting how they always try to do these things and they always get away with it. And Democrats never do anything. And they just be like, oh, yeah, we're going to work with our colleague across the aisle. And next thing you know, 2022, Georgia will keep red, not because it is red, it's because all the laws and restrictions that they put on people and making it difficult for people to actually vote.
And I mean, unfortunately, the Biden White House, they don't have all three branches of government. So there's not really much that they could do to address this. Oh, wait, they do. If they were strong, what they would do is take a really strong stance and pass legislation for automatic voter registration.
Like the For the People Act, the one that passed already, that's perfect in every single way. Stops gerrymandering. Kills dark
money. Right. See, I was with you, Felipe, until you said perfect in every single way. Yeah, come on, man.
I went too far.
I mean, we need automatic. They automatically put your name in the draft. As soon as you start filling out your paperwork, you're automatically put in for the draft. They should automatically register you to vote if you're an adult over 18 years old in the United States. Unconditionally, no registration, no needing to affiliate under a party and register for this party, or you can't vote in the primary. You're a voter and you vote where you want. If this time you feel like voting in the Republican primary, you vote in the Republican primary. If next time you want to vote in the Democratic primary, who cares? They need to just have unconditional voter registration. It's the only, you have to eliminate, this is again, progressive Republican Gabe, is you have to eliminate the government red tape. Unconditional voter registration. Immediately at the age of 18, no need to renew, re-register, redo this. And,
that's not conservative, Gabe. That's common sense.
Yeah, that's just but that will
it's
work.
Conservative, or it's libertarian in that it's less government regulation.
It's a libertarian. It's a libertarian. Like I know we were going to talk about this some other time, but the libertarian, name was pretty much stolen.
That will only work though if we really truly had a two-party system, but we only have a one-party system.
Well, that's why we need ranked choice voting. And with that said, I just want to shout out my peoples at voterschoicenj.com, the ranked choice voting in New Jersey activists. But we need ranked choice voting, baby.
Yeah, if Democrats
some states already have open primaries too. Some states have that already.
Go ahead, John.
Democrats really care about people actually voting. They would have done something when they had Obama in 2008. They had all three branches. So they really tell you that they want to, but they really don't.
Well, that's because when they were winning, they didn't want to do anything about it.
So Alan said, "How do we go into signature match? Should we do that?"
Signature
match is like
the worst.
The worst.
I think Alan knows that.
He knows that. He tried to trick us.
Seriously, my signature changes so often. But go ahead, Carlito. Let's move on to the next one.
That's one of the things that the business community has come out against the signature matching too.
Good.
Some cases. So they know it's impossible. It's impossible to get it.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I want to say, and then Carlito's going to move on, is I love the fact that they're going to try to attack or hold the businesses responsible, because that's how you get change a lot of times when you can't get it done through the legislative means. And, we know that Georgia has the Republican governor, the Republican state assembly, all that good stuff. I think the other way to do it is the companies and corporations. So hopefully they get far if Obama doesn't come in and step in and shield the corporations.
And companies have done some things. I remember in Indiana when they wanted to put, it was some kind of anti-gay law. Oracle, which is the big company over there, they basically said, we're going to stop doing business over there if you put this law into effect, and they back down. So it could happen.
All right, let's move on. Yeah, I think Paul Patrick said this will be ineffective since the businesses received the bulk of GOP stimulus monies. I don't know if it's talking about this exactly or what point. Okay.
So, don't act like only Republicans give businesses money. I mean, y'all remember beginning of the pandemic, after 2008, they get their money.
Yeah. All right, Carlito.
Yeah. 4, National Endowment of the Arts to receive funds from American Rescue Plan to help save organizations and jobs in the arts sector from arts.gov. So the arts community has endured some of the highest rates of unemployment, while the national unemployment rate for the fourth quarter of 2020 was approximately 6%. The rate for dancers, choreographers was 77.8%, actors 47.6%, and musicians 21.5%. Based on the analysis of historical NEA grants data, the NEA Office of Research and Analysis estimates that the $135 million from the American Rescue Plan will result in support for approximately 234,000 jobs, reaching an estimated 107 million people across 1,000 district communities, 23% of which are likely to be rural or non-metropolitan through the organizations that are awarded grants. So I wanted to bring this story out because a lot of people think they want to say like, oh, the arts, that's not practical. Let's not spend money on there. But there's a lot of money involved in the arts. Not only is, arts great culturally, but also economically, as we see from all the jobs that are being supported.
I think it makes our society better as well. Go ahead, Gabe.
I'll say I like it. I think that it's I mean, it's seeing what happens to the arts, and I have a good friend that works on Broadway, and his theater pretty much shut down. And I think it's something that it's a good argument for an expanded unemployment or universal basic income there, where you want to have these wonderful things like the arts, and what happens when it shuts down overnight, you have to support it, and you have to make sure that those things don't leave. That's something that you can't make robots do. You can't automate art and dancing and singing and things like that.
And these are job creators. People always want to talk about job creators when they're making a farting app or something, but what about these people that are making programs that are good? They could be art for the kids, art for the disabled. There's a lot of positive things that happen. On a personal note, I was in this thing in high school called Youth Prevention Theater, and it was something positive to do from the summer. I was one of like the, good kids or whatever, but there was some straight up future criminals in there that could have been doing a lot worse. And we made plays with positive messages, and we took it to other summer camps and youth organizations and to nursing homes where, have people that their families don't even visit. They get a little, smile in their face for one day. So, it's a lot of positive things that come from art. And we all know from, a lot of statistics how keeping, the youth that are, in a path that could be negative to keeping them in a positive way, how they could become in the future a positive, members of society, tax-paying members of society. So, yeah. But, the last story, if you care more about economics in the arts, I wanted to put this last story the title is Black Representation in Film and TV, the Challenges and Impact of Increasing Diversity. And this is by Pete Buttigieg's CIA cover buddies at McKinsey. So the study goes on to detail how the TV and film industry do basically a horrible job at diversity, and they're straight up racist in their practices towards on-screen and off-screen talent. But for those who care more about money than morals, here's the kicker. By addressing the persistent racial inequities, the industry could reap an additional $10 billion in annual revenues, about 7% more than the assessed baseline of $148 billion. Fewer Black-led stories get told, and when they are, these projects have been consistently underfunded and undervalued, despite often earning higher relative returns than other properties. So it just makes money sense to be inclusive.
Yep, and that's why the Golden Globe and stuff like that, they got hit pretty hard, right? Because they were talking about the way that they do the selections of winners and stuff. So
I think it's so easy to see with your eyes. I mean, do a quick Google search. Look up how much Black Panther made when it came out? The answer is $1.34 billion. That's as much as every team up movie. That's as much as the Avengers, the first Avengers. That's more than what? Avatar, the first Avatar. That's about as much as Titanic. And this is for a movie with a $200 million budget. Just financially, it pays off, and people just don't see it.
If you remember a story, it was, I don't remember how many years ago when Felipe was in diapers, when the Sony got hacked, I think by North Korea or something.
Yeah, remember.
And there's something that came out there was that the movie studio, whoever was owned the Equalizer movie with Denzel Washington, they didn't want to do the Equalizer 2 because they were saying like the Chinese people were racist or something. But in reality, they were just being racist themselves because they were using that as an excuse not to make it, because the Equalizer made a ton of money and they trying to make an excuse not to do it, the part 2 with Denzel, even though, as we see from this report, Mackenzie, people just going to buy it. They don't care. If the movie is good, they're going to see it. If the movie, like we've seen with like Black Panther, people can support. You have, especially now that it's so little for minorities to see, if you give them something, they're going to come out in droves. Like, what's that? The Asian movie? I forgot what it was.
Crazy Rich Asians?
Crazy Rich Asian. I mean, I heard about many people that were saying they love seeing themselves on screen. Many Asian people that love seeing themselves on screen. Same thing with, the Black Panther, and when, we hear something with Lin-Manuel Miranda on it, we all get happy too. So, it's just stupid, ridiculous, just not to at least for, even if you don't care about, diversity, it just makes more money, man. Don't be an idiot.
I think a key too to remember is not just tokenization and just putting black faces. It's also making sure that the productions are led by Black and brown directors and screenwriters and producers, because that's really why Black Panther was so successful. They could have whitewashed it and it would have been super whackness. But instead, they leaned in, and there's so many nuanced things to even just the lighting that is different that you have to use to highlight a black person's features. And black artists talk about that, where you have white people putting lights on them and makeup and and they don't know what to do. No. So I think that is critical. And as an example of a show that is a whitewash show, I don't know if you've seen on Netflix, is a show One Day at a Time, and it's a show about a Hispanic family, Cuban in Miami, but like all the stars are like Puerto Rican. They speak like Puerto Rican broken Spanish, and it's just like you could tell that no one cared about the authenticity of the show, and they just wanted to check the boxes of, we need a family show for Spanish people. And it's like, we're watching it, we like want to watch it, we want to like it, and it's like pulling teeth watching the show because it's so painful to watch because it's not us. Same thing with the Selena show. I don't know if you've seen the Selena show. We were watching it, my daughters, and so many things in there that you're like, well, that's not how it is, that's not how we talk, and that's not. So it's just it's key to have important people that are writing it, to make sure that the things that they're saying are things that Spanish and Black people would actually say, and Asian. So that's a key that we want to not forget as we push for more representation, is also representation on the behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, that's something that they touch on the report a lot, because the people that make the decisions are also the people that are hiring other people. A lot of the, ethnic shows and the Black shows, those are the ones that have representation top to bottom. A lot of the, shows that you mentioned, they might have like a Black artist in there or a Spanish, Latino artist in there, but everybody else doesn't know what they're doing or doesn't understand the culture. And, as different from understanding the culture is also the jobs that are not given to people of color that want to come up in those industries. They're not given the opportunity because they just, white people are hiring white people for all those positions.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to give the chat some love, but I agree with you, Carlito. So Erica said, yes, the lighting. And that reminds me of exactly what Gabe was talking about. Insecure, I was watching like a behind the scenes thing on Insecure, and they were talking about how they make sure that the lighting on their Black cast is done well, and they have like Black people doing their lighting. And you can tell the difference. You can see the difference when you watch Insecure on HBO. And then Paul Patrick said, racism reaches deeper than money does. And I was thinking about that too, how I was like, when Carlito was saying that story, I was wondering, but capitalism, everything's about money. If they know that the Equalizer 2 is going to make money, why don't they just do it? But I guess racism reached deeper than money does. And then Alan Amberster says he unapologetically black in a major superhero film was a moment for the culture. Yeah, totally a moment for the culture. In the last,
I think it was more than just unapologetically black. It was black led about black culture that delved into African history, and it just it was in your face. Like 100%. That was what the movie was beyond just the superhero movie.
100%. All right. Let's go on. I'm going to read this last one. Erica said, many black actresses have stories of not having black hairstylists and they have to do their own hair. I can't even imagine non-black people doing black people's makeup too. That's another thing I could imagine. That's
another thing about culture is that if, you mentioned that, Pope Patty said racism reaches deeper than money does. What they try to do, it reminds me of minstrel shows. They basically they knew that the black artists were the ones coming up with these things. So instead of hiring black people, they just got white people to put blackface on to dress like black people and do it.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
They knew it made money, but they didn't want to hire the black people to do it, so they just faked it themselves.
It's
and
crazy.
If you think about, and if you think about big culture, like anything culture in America, for the most part, it was a minority or a black person that popularized it or made it famous, like rock and roll. That's black. Like I mentioned before, the first stand-up comic was a black guy. I didn't know that. I learned that was crazy. In the arts, everybody, even the thoughts on Instagram, they're all trying to be black with the butts and the lips. They want to be black or Dominican looking, but they don't want to face the the consequences, man.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we're gonna go to the trivia, and this is the person right here. Nobody got the person in the chat, so I'm just gonna keep it moving. And there's a reason why I'm bringing these people up. So this person is Gene Shaheen from New Hampshire, right?
Oh, Gene. I mean, of course.
Yeah, of course. And then here's the other person.
We should know her.
Anybody got this person? Nah, I wouldn't. And to be honest, I wouldn't get these people either if it was me on the other side. So I'm just gonna go right through it. This is Maggie Hassan from New Hampshire. And now this person I might have gotten. Let me see if you guys get this person.
Oh, that's the Montana guy.
Yeah. Okay, you got the state.
Yeah. Jesus, what's his name?
His name Jeff, John.
Okay,
John.
There you go. Good job. You guys collaborated. You, Felipe, Carlito.
That was racist.
John, like a white guy. John. That's so wrong.
John Testa. Oh, Nancy got it. Nancy Venture got it in the chat. So much love to Nancy. She got it. And of course, every week I'm gonna bring this guy back. So you guys gotta have his name written down next to your computer.
Kurt Schrader.
Carlito got him. All right, from Oregon, John got his state. And of course, so basically,
I Googled that before the show because I know it's coming up.
You know it's coming, baby. All right.
I know it's coming.
So the first three people, we got Gene Shahan, and we got Maggie Hassan and John Tester. These are all part of the 8 of people who did not vote for $15 minimum wage when Bernie Sanders put the amendment up. So I want to make sure that the chat, the audience know who these people are. We're going to make them famous because when their time is up, which unfortunately is going to be in, I believe, 4 years or a long time from now, we're going to still remember, though. We're going to remember, and we're going to make sure that they pay a price. So I got one more trivia question, but we're going to go to our first discussion, and then we're going to go back to that last one. So the first discussion for no cancel zone. Should Biden put his name on the stimulus checks? What do you guys think?
I don't care.
Okay, yeah. Carlito, no.
I think no. I think it'd be stupid. There's no why. You don't need to swing it around and like say, "Oh, look, I'm giving you money personally." We're not Trump.
It could work.
This is why we lose.
Who's even receiving money?
Listen,
receiving checks.
Listen,
Mark, he does not have direct deposit.
Taking the high road, I would say no, because you don't need to do that. But I don't care because it's advertisement. It helps.
I like what Alan said. He put it from Democrats.
Yeah. Okay, so
that'd be good too.
Let's do it. Yeah, do that then.
Felipe's no. I think we got
Carlito.
Carlito.
He should do it for the state of Kentucky.
He should put for the Democrats. No Republicans voted for this check.
Yes. That I will. Oh my God. Yes, do it, please.
Yeah, that would be good.
There were several mainstream media. Was it not articles, but segments that were interviewing Republican voters in Republican states like West Virginia, and they were talking about the stimulus, and they were talking about how much they loved the stimulus, how much it was so important, and they would say, "Did you know that no Republicans voted for it at all?" And they would be upset. They're like, "No, it's one guy. You know, he cursed. We can't curse because it's a family-friendly show, but he cursed saying that it's it's BS." Yeah. And I think that's more of what we need to lead into, is that we are supposed to be the party that does the things that are popular with people, and we should look at what's the issues that are popular, like the $15 minimum wage, which unfortunately we swung and missed on this time, and it's again an unforced error. We could have got the $15 minimum wage in, but we let a small minority within the party stop us from doing what's right, and because of that, I got the feeling that we're gonna suffer in the midterms. Because it's
all right. Where you going left? That's besides.
I do want to. And we're gonna go to that conversation coming up soon. We're gonna go to that conversation. But in the chat, Pam said yes, we should have the names on this check, and then Paul said not needed. And then he also said only crooks spend other people's money. So I don't know if you exactly what you mean, but like the checks are our money. We are the taxpayers. We put the money into the government, and this is the government finally giving it back.
Biden doesn't have the right to say that the money is coming from him.
Oh, okay.
Is what he meant?
But but Biden is the government, right? He's the president, so he's representing the government, which is we the people. So that's how
I would love has the power of the purse, but yada yada.
Yeah, I would love it if it say like no Republicans voted for this, because there are some Republicans taking credit for it right now, saying like it's going to help small businesses stay afloat.
Exactly.
So just say that.
That's why we always talked about. We always tell how bad Democrats are in politics. Yeah. Like if it was the other way around, I mean, the Republicans will be like.
Well, we know what would happen, John. Donald Trump put his name on the check. Yeah. Go ahead, John.
But they got to take this opportunity to like they got to go on Fox News and be like, no Republican voted for this, and constantly just put it on people's head, and that's how they may win.
100%, John. And matter of fact, Donald Trump,
Moneybag Joe.
Matter of fact, Donald Trump, he delayed the checks just to put his signature on there. So I agree.
Alan keeps talking about his movie. I think he's trying to get like a art grant or something.
I told him that John is gonna screenwrite for him. So
okay, we know John loves to write. Anyway, let's go on to the next. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to show the last
tribute. Be like say loco in every other.
All right, it will be a hit, Alan. I'm telling you.
I'm bringing up the last question, last trivia question, and then we're going to go on to our no cancel zone.
Kurt Schrader.
Richie Torres.
Gary Chambers.
Calling out red.
So here's the question. Which Republican said to wait on Cuomo's investigation to be completed before asking him to resign? So before we answer the question,
Chris Christie looks like he's.
Which out of these three is more corrupt? Let's see.
I think Christie, because he's basically a New York Republican Democrat.
All right, so I'm going to go to the answers, right? But I wanted to say something real quick. I wanted to say this at the beginning, and I wanted to say this for a while. Cuomo is on the CaseStudyQB's enemies list for 2024. And it feels so sweet that any day now, this guy's career is going to be completely over. And I'm a Christian man, so I don't like to I don't want the downfall of other people. I don't like to, feel, bad things happen to other people normally. But
listen, I'm not Cuomo, Christian, so I'll do it for you. I wish it for you.
But for Andrew Cuomo, he gets a special, category for that.
We don't have to deal with him by 2024.
That
his net worth is $5 million. I think he'll live.
Yeah. He'll be all right. So just to if anybody wants to know who else is on that list, definitely Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, because he single-handedly prevented ranked choice voting from being passed in California.
The worst governor. He's gonna get recalled.
Yeah, he might get recalled. So, all right, back to the trivia question. So I heard somebody say the right. Everybody, give me the answers. Who, Carlito? Who's the answer?
Christie.
Okay, Gabe.
Christie.
John.
Christie.
Bendone.
Ted Cruz.
Felipe.
Chris Christie.
And
Ted
the
Cruz has an
answer.
ugly wife, so he won't cheat on her.
The answer is Chris
Christie.
Chris Christie. And
let me tell you the logic. It's because
it.
the other two are bootlickers. So they are very GOP bootlickers, and they're gonna do anything for the party, and they just want to take Cuomo down for no reason. They'll wait for an investigation. Versus Christie, he's probably goes to the country. He goes to the country club with Cuomo, and their kids are probably in the same horse riding class and all that.
Yeah, it's because they're hypocrites. That's why I didn't name the other two. I mean, they're all hypocrites, but they're extra.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so we're gonna go back into the no cancel zone. I just want to read this chat. Pam said there should be a website where you can type in your state and see if your people voted for the stimulus or anything for that matter. That would be a good marketing for the Democrats to sell. Definitely got the good ideas.
And that exists like on the Congress website. They have that. It's just so
too complicated,
hard to navigate.
I mean, that has everything though.
But yeah, it's really hard. But it's also like you got Fox News is not reporting this, and that's what Republicans watch. Like that's why Democrats need to go out there and they should be. If I'm a Democrat, I should be on Fox News every day. And every time they ask me a question, I'll be like, let me tell you something first. No Republican voted for this thing. Even if not
every day. You mean 15
that's what they do
before they cut the camera?
Yeah, because that's what Republicans do. Republican goes to these, big like CNN, MSNBC, and they don't answer the question. They just go and say completely something opposite of the Democrats. And that's what they need to do.
Rokana goes on Fox News, so he could be one of the people to do that. All right, let's move on to the next no cancel zone. So here's a very interesting conversation. I'm going to play devil's advocate on this one. I might get canceled, but we'll see. I'm taking out.
Yeah, you're canceled. Racist against Italians, or you don't like calzones.
I'm taking out my no cancel card, so nobody can cancel me on this one. Are progressives moving Biden left? So let me set up this question real quick. That's what AOC, that's what Ilhan Omar, that's what the squad, that's what Bernie Sanders was saying. They were promising us, after the primaries, the Democratic primary, we were in the general, and they wanted progressives to support Joe Biden. They said, we're going to push him. He's going to be the next FDR. We're going to push him to the left. Come on. Now, we got the first example of this. We got the first bill, COVID relief bill passed. So the question is, are we pushing them left? Go ahead, Gabe.
Gabe. Let's go last, Leif. Let's go
last. All right, I'm gonna. All right.
Let Felipe go first. You already know what Felipe is gonna say, so let Felipe go first.
Look. I'm gonna make it real simple right here. Think of Joe Biden at the beginning of the primaries. Just think of what he stood for on that stage. Listen to what he said. Think about his website, and now look at him today. He has moved at least a foot to the left. Like. Doesn't matter how much, he has moved just a little bit. He said this bill is 1.9 trillion schmillion. I don't care, and passed that bill.
Sorry, I fell asleep.
Listen, hey, tag me in.
Go ahead, Carlito.
Listen, I'm with Felipe. I mean, he exaggerates as usual, but all you got to think about is, if it wasn't for any kind of left pressure, would Joe Biden do any of this? And the answer is no. And that's it.
Yes. Yes,
no,
he would.
But you said pressure. Wait, that's the key word you said real quick, Carlito. You said without the left pressure. But even FDR, without the communists and the two socialist organizations of his day, he wouldn't have done a lot of the things that he did. So we got to count the pressure. Is the pressure pushing him left? So go ahead, Gabe.
The answer is no, because the squad is failing us. They are failing us. You see how Joe Manchin and the 8, how they were able to block the bill for $15 minimum wage. The squad should have said, no, we're going to block the bill, the 8 of us, or however many are in the squad, if it doesn't include the $15 minimum wage. Because that's the popular position, and they would have the public behind them.
I missed you last week, Gabe.
It's unbothered. They're unbothered when Joe
does
Manchin
the public
blocks
really
something.
care for for $15 versus the stimmy?
Yes,
$15 minimum wages.
They want the stimmy.
Listen, no.
It's
Listen,
the stimmy.
They want
I'm
everything,
worried about
bro.
the $15.
Listen. People
Hold on,
be
John,
waiting
go
and
ahead.
stuff. And the thing we talked about is when the squad get in there, they should at least try to fight for it and get some power. They just go in there and automatically just vote for everything. So again, what was the point? And I'm with Gabe on this, right? The reason why we continue to vote for these people is for that. The reason why we put them in is for them to continue to fight for us.
And if you remember, when Nancy Pelosi was up for Speaker of the House, and they said, no, we have to vote with her because she's going to help us get the $15 minimum wage. They're not going to help us unless you force them. Unless you was that?
It passed the House.
But it didn't pass the Senate. So we have to put the
Nancy
pressure
Pelosi
from them.
doesn't run the Senate.
We have to put the pressure on all of them the same way.
That argument
the same way. We have to put the pressure on them regardless. Okay, the same way that it was put on them, it has to be put on Chuck Schumer. So we have to then on the Senate side say that we're not going to confirm Chuck Schumer if he's not going to vote for it.
Listen, you're arguing is they didn't move Biden left enough. That's what you're arguing. Because if you're saying that they didn't move him at all, that's ridiculous. Of course they did.
There we go. All right, let's go to the chat.
We were at $2,000 checks before the election, and then now we're at $1,400 checks. So they he went right. He did. And they passed it with no.
Yes, bro.
2,000.
No. Let's not forget the $2,000 idea was a Trump idea. The $2,000 was a Trump idea, and then
we got $2,000
jump on it.
Yeah,
did not. Yeah. You got a $600 check from Trump, and you got a $1,400 check from Joe Biden. That's not you. You were told that week one there was going to be a $2,000 check, and then because Democrats are good at democrating, they got it negotiated against themselves because they didn't get one Republican vote, so they negotiated against themselves to bring it down to $1,400 to try to get it to be bipartisan support.
We know why. We know why. It's because the Democrats. It's not a monolithic progressive party. It's a bunch of this. Is the vast majority are corporate Democrats. The vast majority, and they wanted less than we got. They wanted even less. The fact that we got whatever we got is proof that we got something. Okay? All right, it's not enough. I'm not happy with it, but to say that Biden didn't move left at all is just ridiculous.
No, Biden doesn't move left. I'm with Gabe on this.
Biden will move left on cultural issues. Biden's going to give us transgender bathrooms, and he's going to give us the most diverse cabinet in history, and he's going to give us cultural things that ultimately, when you take out the culture, you just look at what's going to help people economically. That's when it comes to the military-industrial complex, is those things that are just never going to change no matter who's in power.
But the corporate Dems, they wanted even less than what we got. They wanted less than what we got.
All right, so let me jump in here real quick. Do
you guys not remember the $500 billion plan that was the counter offer?
Oh yeah, that's true. But Felipe, good point. Felipe, actually, I think it was $600 billion. No, like the 10 Republicans came. Yeah, it doesn't matter. 10 billion. The 10 Republican senators. He had the meeting. They came to the White House. He listened to them, pat them on the head, and kept them moving, and then kept the 1.9 trillion. So let me go to the chat room real quick. So Erica said she agrees with Gabe.
I see you, Erica.
Alan Amberster said,
time ever.
Thought are facts. Gabe, they negotiated with Republican Light. Nancy Vancher said his first action was to bomb Syria. So I wasn't talking about foreign policy because he didn't move anywhere left, nowhere near left on foreign policy yet. So I'm talking about specifically the COVID relief bill. That's what I wanted to use as an example. Alan Amberster, Carlito, you right, it passed. Paul Patrick, the public wanted the money, anything, and it is spent already, 100%. The move is over until election time. So my thought on this was I believe he was pushed somewhat to the left. I was actually surprised that you had started off with a $1.9 trillion bill and it ended with the $1.9 trillion bill, which shows that they definitely learned from Obama years where they try to keep negotiating with Republicans who had bad faith. They did not really want to pass a bill, but also something that a Case Study QB clip that maybe actually we're not going to have time, but it was a very interesting clip that talked about how progressives are finally gaining strength, and not enough strength to pass the $15 an hour. I totally agree with everybody on this panel. I'm with you. I would have wanted the squad to push the vote, force the vote to get the $15 an hour. It did not happen. But remember what happened a couple months ago? Pamela Jayapal, she changed the structure of how people could be in the progressive caucus, whittled out and kind of purged the caucus of all of the conservative Democrats. And
they haven't purged it yet. I think that they put some weak sauce rules in place that is better than what was in there before, which was nothing.
Exactly.
Before you could just pay, you could pay your dues and be in the progressive caucus. But now you could only need to vote. I think it's 2/3 of the time.
Which is
still you're gonna vote 2/3 of the time anyway, because we agree on 2/3 of the issue. It's the 1/3 that makes all the difference. So you need to have that be a 90% or 95% that you need to vote with progressives if you want to be in the progressive caucus.
I hear you. They're getting some incremental. Maybe that could be the next chairman. They might put that in place. But the point I'm trying to make,
and that's the problem. That's the problem. Is that the whole always going incremental. You know that we can't do. But the fact is that the party is corporate Dems, man. It's corporate Dems.
I'm gonna give you a prediction right now. Joe Biden and the Democrats are gonna pass a $10 minimum wage.
11, because Joe Manchin agreed to 11.
It's gonna be 10. It's gonna be 10, and it's gonna be tied to inflation. And because of that, every year the minimum wage is going to increase. So now they never need to revisit minimum wage. So now you have a minimum wage that is not a living wage, because even $15 is barely, if even, a minimum livable wage. But now you have it at 10 with automatic increases. It's now an issue they're never going to come back to.
I'm glad you said that.
Gabe, let's say that happens, right?
Okay, go ahead.
In what world do you think Joe Biden, with any pressure from the left, will even go to 10 or 11?
What do you mean?
With no pressure from the left.
With no pressure from the left, he will never even do 10. He'll say everything's fine.
George Bush is the last person that gave us a minimum wage increase. It's a popular thing.
But it's not going to go that. It's not going to go even that much. They'll try to do like 8. Listen. The thing is you're confusing moving to the left with moving to the left as much as that we all would like.
The reason I say 10 is
the question
because 10 is the number that
move Biden to the left. Today's March 15. They have not.
They have.
In no way whatsoever.
I don't think
they have not affected it. No.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous. We got a black Secretary of Defense.
That's it. No calzone for you, man. No calzone for you.
We got Spanish people in the.
This is what I want to say about what Gabe just said about the $15 being whittled down to $11 an hour. And this is a point that was brought up, or 10. This was brought up in that Bad Faith podcast that I really enjoyed. Dave Sirota, he brought up that point. He said, right now the world revolves around Joe Manchin, that conservative Democrat who is always trying to force policy to the right. He said, we just needed the progressives to then stop the vote. When the Senate bill went back to the House, we needed at least 6 Democrats to not vote for it. So now the bill would have went back to conference where they have to negotiate again. And that's when they could have gotten a $10, an $11, a $12, right?
They should have negotiated. They should have gone said. They should have said, okay, Joe.
Who disagree? Who's disagreeing with that?
Exactly. Who disagrees with that?
Nobody disagreeing with that.
But it sounds like
we're saying, what we're saying, some of us is that we wanted other options. We wanted them to fight harder. That doesn't mean that Biden didn't move to the left at all. That means he didn't move enough, and the progressives didn't fight enough, and they didn't hold out as much as Joe Manchin did.
So because Biden gave people a stimulus that came up with Trump, that was a Trump idea, was less than 2,000. He moved left.
All right, so let me finish the point. Let me finish the point with the $15 minimum wage or the $11 minimum wage. He said
2,000. So by going from 2,000 to 1,400, he literally is moving right. That is the definition of moving right from the promise. The promise was here.
He wouldn't have done any of that.
Right.
He wouldn't have come up with the idea if it wasn't Trump.
All right, hold on, guys. Hold on.
They would have gave us $600 and call it a day. People get $600.
Even Trump. Well, wait. I don't know why you're giving Trump any credit. Trump didn't even want to do it himself. He didn't really fight for it.
He came up with the idea.
Let's not
go there because the Democratic leadership killed the stimulus that was going to come under Trump. So let's not go there. They killed it.
Gabe, you're not on the same page tonight, Gabe.
They killed it. They killed it so they could win the election.
Because I was reading about this just today, man.
Last point,
when it came to the nitty-gritty, Trump did not fight for it. Trump could have just say, I'm not signing this if you don't give me $2,000. He could have said it, but he just wanted his name out there. He wanted the popularity as usual, but he really didn't care about fighting for it. All he wanted was his name out there.
All right, so last point. Hold on.
Nancy Pelosi did not want to give Trump that win because they knew that would affect the election.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Trump now. Like, you can both be right about one thing without negating the other. And I'm telling you, Trump didn't want it. He just wanted a talking point.
Let me finish the point about the $15 minimum wage.
Trump is Trump.
Let me just finish the point about the minimum wage. You guys started jumping in about the stimulus check. I didn't even finish talking about the minimum wage yet. So basically, the point I'm trying to make is I think everybody here except for Gabe, is this right? Everybody except for Gabe will want at least something done with the minimum wage, like $10, $11. Am I right? Anybody?
What you mean?
Is there anybody who's with Gabe that would rather minimum wage not go to $10? And Gabe, correct me if I'm not representing you right.
I would rather not get a minimum wage increase than get an increase.
Exactly.
$10.
That's unbelievably privileged of you to say.
Okay, so anybody else agree with him?
It's a hustle. The hustle is if they give you an increase to $10 and they tie it to inflation, you now are making everyone permanently poor.
I hear you, Gabe. I hear you, Gabe.
Because now it's automatic.
So I'm gonna come back to your point
for the right policy.
What would you say to people who currently make $7.50, $7.25 an hour? Who those $3 would change their life?
This is the same people that continue to be voting for.
There is no state that you can live in, even under $10 an hour, work the minimum wage and have a one-bedroom apartment. There's not one state.
Here's my last
one state that you can have a one-bedroom apartment with the minimum wage.
So this is my point.
Work in 2 jobs.
John,
that's what I would say is I want people not to be poor.
There's no way that Joe Manchin should have more power than the squad.
Okay, hold on real quick. So basically, the point I want to make, Gabe, I love the fact that we have differences of opinion. Felipe, we have differences of opinion. I'm more on Felipe's side. I have to admit that I would love to see it raised to anything, but this is where I agree with Gabe.
Raise it to $7.75. There we go.
I know
25 cents is gonna make a difference in everybody's life.
Point. I think Joe Manchin is calling for $11 an hour. So at the very least, worst case scenario, I heard $11 an hour. Yeah. Tied to inflation, I would love to see that passed. I wish they would have fought for it and got that as a negotiation point. But as a member of the squad, if I was in Congress, if I was Pramila, I would say, okay, we got $11 an hour passed with inflation, but the fight for 15 is now fight for 25, and that's what we're going to be fighting for. In 2024, all of our progressive candidates, that's going to be their policy. Fight for 25. Nina Turner, AOC, whoever, Ro Khanna, whoever's running for president in 2024. That's going to, the same way Bernie last time had fight for 15. Then the new policy on minimum wage is fight for 25. What do you think about that, Gabe?
I want to highlight what Alan said in the chat. Fight for 15 has been going on since 2012, or at least 2015 is when I first saw it.
Yeah,
it's one of those things that right now in 2020, it shouldn't be fight for 15. At this point, it should probably be $17 or $18, and by all statistics, by all measurements economically, the number should really be in the high 20s. When you look at the level of productivity that's gone up among the worst workforce, it should be in the 20s. So 15 is already the negotiation point. But when you negotiate from the middle, that's how you get to that $10 number. So we should be saying already fight for 25 and then maybe end up at 17 or something like that. Yeah. But if that's why it's so important that we can't give up 10, because we are already at the compromise point at 15.
Right. So that's where I was going to go to again, because I agree with you, because the process matters. It's just not like, we're not going to pass. I don't care. Pass it. You have to have a reason why and a battle plan behind it. So, that's the same thing we had with the recent one we have, the ACA right now, because we chopped our own selves. Well, Obama chopped everybody in the foot, ahead of time. And we could have had a lot a lot better healthcare situation right now. So you can't negotiate from the middle because you're not going to end up where you start. You got to start way higher, and then when you get to the middle, that's where you get to something that everybody could agree on. But it's like, what they say, if everybody walks away unhappy, then you know that you got a good deal. But right now, the Democrats, well, at least the progressives, are the only ones that always walk away unhappy.
But because they don't fight for anything. I don't understand. Listen, I don't understand.
John, more than the squad. Listen, more than the squad, I blame Bernie more than the squad, because of the squad. I don't want, you're talking about 6 or whatever many people trying to get, all of them to agree to one thing. Yeah. I don't know if everybody's agreeing exactly the same way. When you have Joe Manchin, when it's one guy, that means you just need in the Senate, which is one person has more power than one person in the House. Then all you need is one person in the Senate to counter Joe Manchin. And that should have been Bernie or anybody else, even not to point at Bernie. Any other Democrat that thinks they're progressive should have done what Joe Manchin did.
I agree with you.
The squad is just one person in the Senate should have done it.
I understand, but what I'm saying is the squad has the same power, because without their vote, things don't pass.
It's more of them. You got to get 6 people to agree when you have only one person that you need in the Senate to do it.
They need to stop marketing themselves as a squad if they can't be on the same page. Mm-hmm. If they can't be on the same page, because that's the whole point. When you're on the squad, you're on your squad, and you're supposed to be.
Listen, we political junkies. Are we on the same page right now?
No, but we.
Okay, then there we go. There we go.
But still,
I agree. I agree with Carlitos. I'm blaming Bernie, because he has the one vote that he could be stopping the stuff in the Senate right now, and knowing that it's a must-pass bill, he could have stopped the stimulus until it got, the correct provision in it.
Wait, have anybody heard from Felipe Girl Elizabeth?
She's pushing hard for forgiving $50,000 of student debt.
And the ultra rich tax, right? All right, I love this conversation, man. This conversation, we went in. Let me ask the guys, because it's 9:06, and I know I think it was Alan that wanted us to talk about the border crisis. But we could save it. Actually, I don't know if we could save it for. I think there's going to be still an issue next week. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't solve this.
He's not going to solve immigration in a week.
He's not going to solve it. So let's wrap up this show. And also we had one more no cancel zone topic, which was where each of you guys stand on strategy. Do you want the third party? Do you want to take over the Democratic Party, or do you want both? So everyone in the chat, look forward to that next week. We're going to have that conversation, whether you want the Movement for People's Party or the Green Party, and you're strictly with the outside, or are you for taking over the Progressive Party and trying to work within there? Do you see we could get change there? Or are you like me? I'll give up my stance right now. I'm for both. So I'm going to leave it. Don't answer, guys, right now. Don't answer. Spoiler. But we're going to come back next week, and I love the conversation today. So let's give the chat room some love. So Alan Amberster said, what stuff in the Senate? They only passed one major bill so far that affects Republican states too. Yeah, so the next big bill is going to be the infrastructure bill, and I'm curious to see if that's going to be another $2 trillion bill, a healthy sized bill. And what else? I need you guys to help me out. If you see anything in the chat, just shout it out. So Paul Patrick, if we didn't get 15 under the Dems, and in these rough times, it will be a long time before it happens.
That is a fact, Mr. Patrick. That is a fact.
Got to have Nancy for 5 for 25.
Mm.
What the?
All right. And then what else we got? We got Alan Amberster said, call smart marketing 1488. Yeah. Oh man, what else we got before we head out?
1619 project. They'll never pass.
Oh man, so I want to shout out the names: Erica, Alan Amberster, Paul Patrick, Nancy Vancher. Who else? Help me out. Mm-hmm. Queen. I know Pam was in there. I know Pam was in there.
In a house.
Bendone.
Did you just name drop me?
Yes, I did. That's the only time you're gonna get any love here, man, because you suck.
Uh-oh. Wow. Aunt Tifa.
Yeah, you get no calzone. You get no calzone.
He got some love. He switched over from his bedroom today. So
yeah, I got canceled.
And then Action Speaks Louder Than Words was also in here. She looked That I think that's a Twitter follow that her avatar looks familiar.
On Periscope.
Yeah,
guys, don't forget. Please send super chats. We got to get Felipe a green screen.
Yeah,
so we're trying to raise some money for him to get a green screen.
And
throw
also
throw $1 in the super chat.
Also like and subscribe.
We want him to stop disappearing.
Gabe, do the like and subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us a ton. If you like what we're talking about, if you don't like what we're talking about, then get in the chat and get in there and give us some heat. So we want to hear it both ways. This is a no cancel zone, and this is somewhere where we want to have these discussions respectfully, and we want to have them so that not only do we preach to each other, because at the end of the day, we're all 90% of the same page, but we want to start now. How do we get more people? How do we get the disenfranchised and the people that don't vote to come out? How do we convert the few people that aren't TFG, too far gone? How do we convert those people over to these policies? We have the right common sense policies on all these progressive issues. And what we talk about here is more like the splitting the hairs, the nuances. So let's work to expand our base. I can't wait for the discussion next week on our strategies, and again, like, share, subscribe.
Like, so get zones next week though. What's up?
Every Monday, 8 p.m. Yeah, could have been anywhere in the world.
But you here with us.
So the Discord.
I love the T-shirt. Political gang. What is it? Junkie gang. Yeah, baby.
Junkie gang.
We gotta
send
that.
Alan one. You know,
gotta get that.
Discord.
Yeah. All right, guys. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. And especially if you stayed from the beginning of the show to this ending, and you watched the whole thing, you are truly I'm about to say political junkie. I'm violent. It's time for me to sleep. It's time for me to sleep, guys. Much love to y'all. Have a good one. Any last words? Everybody's good?
Peace.
Much love.
Yay. I love Joe Biden.
Adios.
I'm sure you do.
I know you do. We love you too, Nancy.
Are we done?